This is Chancellor Zabanda with the news on Zodiac. The headlines. 50-50 Campaign Management Agency is pushing for an electoral provision of women quota in Parliament. National Audit Office misses President Chakwera's deadline of releasing a report on 6.2 billion kwacha COVID-19 funds. TUM announces fresh national strike for public teachers starting Tuesday. In sports, Silver Strikers thrash TN Stars to return to the top of the TNM Super League log table. We now give you the news in detail. The 50-50 Campaign Management Agency is pushing the Ministry of Gender to expedite the process of having an electoral provision of women quota in Parliament. Oxfam's country director Mibawa has told us that performance of women in recent by-elections calls for speedy enactment of the provision. Minister of Gender Patricia Galiati says while the ministry is committed to putting in place the legislation on the matter, parties should deliberately support women aspirants. Joseph Mazizi has filed this report.
At least 44 women made it to Parliament in the 2019 general elections, which was an increase from the 42 who won in 2014. But the number reduced following the death of Member of Parliament for Nshisi North, Jacqueline Chikuta, and loss of seat by Esther Nchega, formerly of Nsanje North. Both seats have now been won by men, as no female candidate won the by-elections. This, according to 50-50 campaigners, is a worrying development, suggesting the women quota could be the best way of addressing the matter. Country Director for Oxfam, Mibawa, says the Ministry of Gender should fast-track the process on this electoral reform area, which she says is very key for the country's development.
Most of the countries, particularly here on the African continent, that have done well in terms of numbers of women's representation being high, they have done so using the quota as an interim strategy. So if you look at very good case studies of the likes of Uganda, Rwanda, you actually find that most of the times the women have been given a quota, and that gender quota is the one that secures women a particular number of seats. So that those that go through the elections through the first past the post are only topping up on a given number that you have.
However, the minister responsible, Patricia Galiati, says they are doing all they can on the quota proposal.
That's a good idea. If that would be the case, I don't have any problem. I support it.
Debate on the introduction of seats said to specifically be contested by women in all the districts was met with resistance from different quarters, including members of parliament, arguing the rationale was not clear. Reporting for Zodiac from Chilima, I am Joseph Mazizi.
An audit report into usage of 6.2 billion kwacha COVID-19 funds has delayed for over a month, despite President Chakwera's directive that it be released within a month. Revelations of abuse of COVID-19 funds forced the president to call for a speedy investigation, but Malawians will have to wait a little longer to see the outcome. Public Relations Officer for National Audit Office, Kwagwanji, has told Zodiac investigations into usage of the funds are at an advanced stage. Mibawa has details in this report.
It is now over a month since President Lazarus Chakwera called for investigations into revelations over the abuse of 6.2 billion kwacha COVID-19 funds. President Chakwera directed that the investigation be conducted within a month, but it appears the order was defied as the National Audit Office is yet to conclude its investigations. The delays have angered political commentator Victor Jipofia, who is now calling for an independent audit.
But I would have loved if we had an independent institution, not the government itself, to audit themselves. No, if we had an international independent institution, or even local, but independent from government, to investigate and see exactly where that money went. Because as of now Malawians are even more curious as to what really happened with our money.
Responding to the concerns, spokesperson for the National Audit Office, Kwagwanji, told us investigations are at an advanced stage. Kwagwanji indicated that a report will be presented by the end of this week.
According to our plan, we expect to issue the report this week. But, when it comes to investigative audit, issues may arise, which may require us to go back and do some more work. But according to our plan, we intend to conclude the work by issuing a report this week.
Abuse of the 6.2 billion kwacha COVID-19 funds led to the arrest of a number of officials in various government departments, including the interdiction of district commissioners. For Zodiak, this is Chimwemwe Padata.
The Teachers Union of Malawi, TUM, has announced a fresh national strike starting Tuesday, following government's insistence that it won't disperse a COVID-19 risk allowance to the teachers. The decision to resume the stay-away follows a meeting the union's leadership had on Monday. TUM President William Malimba accused government of not prioritizing the welfare of teachers, as he says their lives are on the line for working amid the COVID-19 pandemic. Chumwe Badata once again.
Teachers have stood their feet, they will down tools starting tomorrow, Tuesday. A resolution to resume the nationwide stay-away follows a meeting that was held today within the Teachers Union of Malawi TUM leadership. TUM President William Malimba told Zodiak the union will not relent in its quest to get the recommended once-off payment that was agreed with Ministry of Education. The once-off payment replaced the risk allowance that teachers were initially demanding. But Malimba says government has to date not responded to their 7-day ultimatum that came to an end Thursday last week.
The government is not serious with the children of Malawi or with the teachers of Malawi. Tomorrow, teachers are not going to report for duties. What we are trying to do as a union, we are trying to make an environment where the teacher can go there and work comfortably.
Education experts have meanwhile announced the plans to engage the two parties in talks to find ways to end the impasse. Here is Benedicto Kondoe, one of the education experts.
We are eager to reach out to both parties. We have already reached to TUM to understand their position, if at all we are to intervene. So we will definitely be reaching out to government on this issue.
Deputy Minister of Education, Madalitso Kambaua, asked for more time before commenting on the planned strike. But their concerns resumption of the teacher strike will affect the school calendar. For Zodiac, this is Chimwemwe.
A social and political commentator, Sherif Kaisi, says the Citizens for Transformation Movement, CFT, formed by former human rights defender Timothy Mtambo, has failed to satisfy national interests on which it was conceived. In his exclusive assessment a year after CFT formulation, Kaisi has rated the movement poorly, suggesting it has let Malawians down given the economic, social and political turmoil going unchallenged by the grouping. But Mtambo, who is now minister in the Chakwera-led Tonse administration, says the People Power movement remains steadfast. We have a report by Alex Banda.
The Citizen for Transformation, CFT, a political pressure group formed by former staunch human rights defender Timothy Mtambo, clocks a year this month. When forming this grouping, Mtambo pledged to Malawians he would continue being aggressive against any political impunity, executive arrogance and economic stagnation from a political platform to deliver aspirations of Malawians. But in his assessment 1 year on, a social and political commentator, Sherif Kaisi, says the grouping has failed to deliver on its conception promise.
There are so many issues touching the society, like I have said, social, political, and economic, turmoil that Malawi citizens are going through, of which people expected to see that movement to come in. Mr. Mtambo is not a new man or a new, movement kind of a person. He's been there. He was a chair of, one of the very influential CEOs in this country.
But Mtambo, who is the commander-in-chief for the political pressure group, says the people power dream remains steadfast.
This dream rests in the people of this country. We want to see a better country, a country that is good for us all, a country with equal opportunities, a country with citizens who are actually empowered in many ways when it comes to development and businesses.
Mtambo is now a serving cabinet minister in the President Lazarus Chakwera led administration. For Zodiac and Blantyre, this is Alex Banda.
April 5th marks the 9th anniversary since the death of former President Bingu Mutharika. He died during his second tenure in office in 2012 at the age of 78. Bingu was acclaimed for presiding over the most successful economic growth and food security in Malawi in his first term, but he was accused of showing dictatorial tendencies in his second term, which was marred by economic hardships. Alex Banda has the story.
Today marks the 9th anniversary of the death of former Malawi leader Kwagwanji Bingu Mutharika, who died on 5th April in 2012. He died at the age of 79 as the sitting president of the Republic of Malawi. At the time, State House had said that the president had died of a heart attack at a military hospital in South Africa. However, concerns arose within the country, suggesting the president had died otherwise and in Malawi. As today marks 9 years since his death, people in the country have taken to social media to celebrate his life. Bingu Mutharika was celebrated locally for ensuring that Malawi was food secure and stabilized the economy. Experts elsewhere had also paid tribute to the president for presiding over economic stability in one of the poorest countries in the world since the early 90s. Today, family members and former First Lady Kalista Mutharika are expected to attend a private mass that will be held at Mpumulo in Data in Cholo district, where no media has been allowed.
We have mass at Goliati today, but also the villages around Indata will go to Mpumulo to do some cleaning there, and then the family will also meet at some point today, just to gather together and maybe remember the good things that he was doing for the family.
There has been no communication from the office of the former president, Peter Mutharika, and State House on the day. For Zodiak and Blanta, this is Alex Banda.
You're watching the news here on Zodiac. We'll be back with more after this.
Sompenya Malawi watukula Malawi 2063 akale wosi miabae ufika 2063 akale wokomera aliyense achinyamata tigwira ne manja tukula Malawi achinyamata tikale patsogolo tukula Malawi Malawi wosi miabae Malawi wokomera aliyense Malawi 2063 kusinda dziko lathu mokomera aliyense.
If there's one thing that all soaps do, it's wash. From buckets to basins, bathrooms to streams, and everything in between.
All soaps wash.
Yes, but Protex is different. Its reinvented formula with flaxseed oil boosts your skin's natural anti-germ defenses by 10 times more, protecting you against 99.9% of germs. So what keeps us healthy?
Protex!
Good health starts here.
Welcome back to this bulletin. A look at headlines once again. 50-50 Campaign Management Agency is pushing for an electoral provision of women quota in Parliament. National Audit Office misses President Chakwera's deadline of releasing a report on 6.2 billion kwacha COVID-19 funds. TUM announces fresh national strike for public teachers starting Tuesday. And in sports, Silver Strikers thrash TN Stars, return to the top of the TNM Super League Globe table. Now, moving on with the news, a group of former Chancellor College students has made a donation of assorted audiovisual equipment to the institution to ease challenges students face during practical lessons. The donated equipment include audio mixers, studio microphones and others, all at tune of 1.5 million kwacha. Student Representative Comfort Kembo has told Zodiac that the donation is in response to the needs of students at the institution. We have this report.
The donation by Yarrow 92, a group of alumni from Chancellor College, is in response to needs of students under the Department of Language and Communication. Group Representative Comfort Kembo told Zodiak many times students run short of equipment that has been donated. Kembo told us the donated equipment worth 1.5 billion kwacha will ease some of these challenges.
They need to have this type of equipment to get feedback in terms of how they are doing, how to practice to do things. So that's the reason that we decided to support them, because we know that the college has several needs.
Reacting to the news, Acting Vice Principal Dr. Melvis Kamanga was all smiles while applauding the Chancellor College alumni for the kind gesture.
This equipment will actually help our students to practice more on different aspects that they learn in class. They will be able to make some productions. That's an aspect of practice. And at the same time, they will be able to carry out their projects.
Yalo 92, a group of students who were selected to Chancellor College in 1992, launched a crowdfunding campaign in 2019 that has seen the donation at Chancellor College. For Zodiac, this is Chimwemwe Barata.
The police in Mzimba are hunting for suspects behind the pandemonium that erupted at a village Saturday when health workers exhumed a dead body to conduct an autopsy. Family members and communities are suspecting foul play in the death of 60-year-old Christopher Kanyenda and demanded the autopsy to establish cause of death. Angela Nkandawiri with details.
According to some of the eyewitnesses who refused to be named, the deceased died suddenly on March 6th this year, and there were rumors that he was poisoned. This forced the deceased family members to mobilize resources and called for a pathologist to conduct post-mortem on the body. Saturday morning, pathologist Dr. Chausta Malala, in the company of police officers, went to Chololo village in traditional authority Jalavikuwa in Mzimba, where the body of the deceased was exhumed for a full autopsy to ascertain the cause of the death. At this point, some irate members of the community are said to have invaded the houses of the suspects, which they demolished and also damaged crop fields, as they believed the suspects had a hand on the death. Rumpi police spokesperson Inspector Henne Njele has confirmed the incident and said police are making investigations on the allegations as well as the looting that occurred.
On 6th March 2021, there was a sudden death of Christopher Kanyenda. After his sick, he was taken to Runge Hospital, where it was revealed that he passed on due to high blood pressure. But the family was not pleased with it. The result, they decided to hire Dr. Zamara to conduct a full postmortem. It was just yesterday when Dr. Zamara came and he conducted the full postmortem. In the process, a group of villagers managed to damage 5 houses, and the 5 next fields have been flashed by these villagers. Currently, we haven't made any arrests, but we are making every effort to arrest the
However, Dr. Charles Malala said he cannot share the findings of the autopsy as it was a private arrangement with family members. But brother to the deceased, Mavias Kanyenda, says the family will make public findings of the full autopsy once it is finished with the official results. For Zodiac, this is Angela Mkandawiri.
And moving on to sports, Silver Strikers are back on top of the TNM Super League log table following a 4-0 win over Kasungu-based TN Stars at Silver Stadium. The Bankers coach Daniel Kabwe told journalists after the match that his charges played to instructions, while his opposite number Joseph Malizani said his charges were not up to the task. Maxwell Gustin scored a hat-trick with another goal scored by Stan Davey. In another Super League match played on Monday, Nyasa Big Bullets beat Mighty Tigers by 2-0. And that sports item brings us to the end of this bulletin, but before we leave you, a look at the headlines. 50-50 Campaign Management Agency is pushing for an electoral provision of women quota in Parliament. National Audit Office misses President Chakwera's deadline of releasing a report on 6.2 billion kwacha COVID-19 funds. TUM announces fresh national strike for public teachers starting Tuesday. And in sports, Silver Strikers thrashed TN Stars to return to the top of the TNM Super League table. Visit our website zodiacmalawi.com for more news. COVID-19 vaccination is underway in the country. Make a decision, protect yourself and protect your loved ones. My name is Chansimo Zabanda. Thanks for watching and goodbye.